Tonight, a man convicted of murder for killing an armed Black Lives Matter protester is walking free. Former U.S. Army Sergeant Daniel Perry was serving a 25-year prison sentence for fatally shooting Air Force veteran Garrett Foster in 2020. Today, Perry was pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And just to remind you what happened, prosecutors say that Perry drove his SUV through a red light into a crowd of protesters in Austin. He was apparently approached by Foster, who was openly carrying an assault-style rifle, which is legal in Texas. Foster then motioned for Perry to lower his window, at which point Perry shot Foster with a handgun. The defense argued that Perry's actions were justified as self-defense, but the jury, they went on to convict him. Now, Governor Abbott made an unusual request for the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles to carry out an expedited review before Perry was even sentenced. Now, that board unanimously voted to pardon Perry and restore his firearm rights earlier today. I want to bring in Sheila Foster. It's Garrett Foster's mom, and the attorney representing her, Quentin Brogdon. Sheila Foster, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is heartbreaking every time I hear about and remind the audience about what has happened to your family, to your beloved child. He was convicted of murder on Daniel Perry on April 7th of last year. The very next day, Governor Abbott was speaking openly about wanting to pardon your son's killer. What is it you're feeling tonight?
Reading the governor's pardon, it appears as though nothing that was done in trial and nothing that was reviewed by the pardon board was included in his pardon. That is all stuff that was said by the defense attorney in the beginning. It's not anything that the pardon board discovered. All of that stuff was debunked at trial. Everything the governor put in his pardon letter was proven wrong during trial.
Did you feel when the conviction happened and he was found guilty, how did you feel about losing your son and justice and accountability at that point?
When they announced that he was guilty,
Yes.
that was a relief. That was a relief, and I've slept better that night than I had in nearly 3 years. And I woke up the next morning and it was so peaceful. And then I literally was basking in peace that morning and thanking God that we finally got justice. And then I got a text message from my friend telling me about the governor's tweet. And I thought, there's no way he would actually do that. There's no way he's actually gonna do that. And then here we are.
Is that how you found out? You mean this is the way that you found out, through a tweet, that the governor's office didn't contact you or you didn't have the advance notice?
No, it was through a tweet. When I found out that my son was murdered, I found out by Whitney's mother. The authorities didn't even contact me, his next of kin. I had to find that out from his wife's mother. And my daughter had previously already learned it on Facebook. So nothing involving this case is normal. Nothing is ethical. Nothing is right. Everything that has happened is wrong on so many levels. And I don't understand why it is so crystal clear to me that this man needs to be in prison for the rest of his life, not a mere 25 years. Why he wouldn't even have to serve a year. It doesn't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Governor Abbott wouldn't pardon him.
I mean,
he wouldn't pardon him if this was a Trump rally. If this was a Trump rally and somebody drove into that crowd and gunned one of those people down, do you think Governor Abbott would pardon that killer?
Your question, I think, is swirling around so many people's minds, and I think they have their answers quite clearly. I want to bring you in here, Quentin. It's unbelievable to think of how this mother has had to learn about a pardon for someone convicted of killing her son. You were considering filing a civil case even before the murder conviction. Is she without any legal recourse now? Are you going to be able to pursue any legal action now that he has been pardoned?
Laura, thank you. We decided, Sheila and I, and Sheila's one of the bravest clients I've ever represented, not to go forward on the civil case because there was accountability in the wake of the conviction of Daniel Perry. But now the governor's turned the rule of law on his head. He seems to have forgotten a basic truth that our founding fathers knew well, namely that respect for the rule of law begins with respect for the will of citizen jurors. And in this case, there were 12 citizen jurors who gave up 2 weeks of their lives to consider the evidence. They heard from 40 witnesses. They deliberated 15 hours. And at the end of that, those same 12 citizen jurors voted unanimously to convict Daniel Perry. And assuming the governor or anybody else who would say this is a travesty of justice is correct, then there are 2 separate courts of appeals in Texas that can be allowed and should have been allowed to weigh in on this and potentially reverse it if it needed to be reversed. But when the judge steps in with 2 big feet and undoes the will of citizen jurors, a legitimate question arises. Is this based on the merits or is it based on some crass political calculation?
Sheila, I'm so sorry for your loss and that we have not had a chance to meet your beloved son. And I, as mother to mother, I'm just heartbroken for you. And I commend, as your attorney is saying, your absolute bravery in continuing to fight and continuing to make the world know who your son is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
He was a good person. Garrett was a very good person.
I believe that with all my heart. Sheila, Quentin, thank you so much. We'll be right back.